Okay, hello everyone, my name is Laquan Williams, and in this video I wanted to discuss the subject matter of the TV show on Disney Plus that is obviously called Loki. If you obviously haven't been watching it, it's obviously an adaptation prequel to before what happened with Avengers Endgame, because this version of Loki was the one that escaped obviously after being captured by the Avengers at the end of the first movie, but obviously they went back in time and obviously were trying to get the trying to get upper hand on Thanos and get the Infinity Stones. Because of this Loki was able to escape, get the Tesseract, move throughout time, and obviously evade them. They had no idea about it, so that's basically what happened. So basically on his show, we're basically seeing what's going on with him with the Time Variance Authority or Association authority with the timekeepers, the people who have created throughout the time itself, and they're in charge of it, and they're these godlike creatures, people, and their characters. Haven't seen anything about them, but we'll see what happens with that. And obviously in this episode, it's called Lamentis. Loki and Lady Loki, whose name is Sylvie, we have figured out in this episode, she admitted that she does not like being called Loki. She doesn't want to be associated with that. So basically, what's happening is she escaped, and the whole ordeal and that crisis that happened in 2050, where she tricked the Time Variance Authority from obviously flanked them for what she was doing, stole a bunch of their their charges or that they had, where they reset the timeline, used them against them to create a fiasco so she could obviously escape, evade through time, and end up actually at their place to try to take down and kill them. Obviously Loki went after her, and after Agent Mobius, played by Owen Wilson, told him not to, he went after her. They went through the portal, and then they obviously left and went from the Time Variance Authority, left there. It went to someplace else, obviously, and because of this, they ended up teleporting to a planet. Obviously, it was colliding basically with rocks and the moon, and it was destroying itself. So they were trying to get off that planet and try to figure out a way to get obviously back to the Time Variance Authority, obviously to stop them. But along the way, obviously, we can see they've been having issues, not obviously working together, them obviously having disagreements, obviously, and Lady Sylvie not telling Loki obviously much about her, but he told her a little bit about him. But they obviously are still trying to build trust with each other, and take down the Time Variance Authority, because they both want them out of the way. Basically, I don't know what's going to happen with the rest of this show, but it's fairly obvious that they both want similar things, but obviously Loki's trying to get away from the Time Variance Authority and obviously be on his own. So maybe they could help each other out in the end. He could escape somehow and get the Tesseract. I don't know, but he can't use it himself to escape from that place or any Infinity Stones, because magic is apparently dampened and or frozen from being around that whole entire space colony planet facility. You can't use it. You already tried and it didn't work. So we'll see what happens with that. It's been good. The visual effects in this episode are amazing. Then running away from literal like planets just being destroyed and asteroids hitting the ground and buildings collapsing. They were running away from them and trying to escape. It was very fun. Them working together is kind of weird, because in order for Loki to be free with the Time Variance Authority, he has to give her up. So, and obviously to help himself out. So I don't know how it's going to work out. And we'll see what happens with that. We'll see. But it was cool. The random name of Sylvie, I don't know why that was the case, but apparently she does not want to be called Lady Loki. So that's basically what's happening. I'm on here on GamesRadar.com. They gave the show's rating, this episode, a 2.5 out of 5, which is obviously very bad. And they said that Tom Hiddleston is a passenger on his own show, and Loki needs to step up, or he's going to be continued to be outshined or outshone by everyone around him. We'll see what happens with it. This episode was cool. I understand if they have any frustrations with the show. It is obviously kind of weird now that they bring another character in, a personality with him, for them, obviously another personality with him, obviously that doesn't add up. For them to obviously now be working together is kind of weird, because they both kind of want similar things, but in order for her to not have them on her back, she needs to destroy the Time Variance Authority, whereas Loki needs to have needs to obviously work with him in order for him to be obviously free, because she was obviously evading them already from the beginning. He was not. He was evading the Avengers. He got the Tesseract. Now he evaded them. He was trying to get away from the Time Variance Authority, obviously, but they captured him. He can't use any of his magic or any magic at all over there because they're not allowed to. Some people are saying, there's articles saying that at the time, agents, those guys who are these godly creatures, they're probably not even real. I have no idea what's going on with that. Apparently, the people that are working there as the Time Variance Authority / agents, apparently they're all former variants / criminals themselves, and they probably don't even know what's going on, so I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe their minds were reset and altered and they were given a second chance, or I have no idea what's going on. We'll see what happens as the show continues to progress in the next couple of weeks, because this is the 3rd episode and there's only 6 episodes for this, so this is the halfway end point of the season for the first season, and we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, we'll see obviously what happens with that. It's kind of weird, like I said, bringing in somebody else and how it's basically going. Loki going against himself, a different version of himself, was kind of weird, but we'll see what happens with it. It was cool, it was entertaining, they're back and forth, obviously. Banter was cool. I just hope that obviously the show's obviously season finale obviously is still pretty good, and Loki can kind of figure out what's going on with him trying to travel through time. Obviously, I guess without the Time Variance Authority being on his back, and obviously making sure that obviously he can figure out if he can talk to these guys and if they're obviously even real. And obviously, if he was able to get his hands on the Tesseract, what would he do and where would he go, and would he try to prevent his own death from happening in the future, which happens in Avengers Endgame, which he was able to see. They try to take over some ship from a space colony themselves. Lady Sylvie, who is Lady Loki, and obviously Loki himself, but that obviously didn't work. The guards went after them and tried to stop them. They obviously had their plans derailed. The device that was allowing them to travel through time was destroyed, obviously, after Loki had it hidden from Sylvie. He showed it to her that it was broken after they jumped out of a train that was flying. They flew out one, basically, after they were trying to get away from these guards that were dressed in all blue, these agents on this train of like a space colony where everybody's leaving this planet that's about to be destroyed, and that's basically what's happening. The show is cool, it's okay, but besides obviously Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, who plays Loki, you don't know anybody else on the show, so none of these actors are obviously people you are familiar with or you know, so it's kind of like a brand new type of show and ordeal. It is obviously, but no familiar faces besides obviously Loki the actor, Loki the character. Obviously, everybody else is just new characters who you've never heard of or never seen. Obviously, people who read the comic books know about the Loki having different versions of himself. There's different Lokis, different variations of him, obviously. And so you would know about this if you read them. I have not, so I didn't know anything about that. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm also trying to see and figure out if he's going to be in the last Thor movie, which is Thor: Love and Thunder, the 4th movie, which should be out probably next year, I think. I don't think it's coming out this year. But we'll see what happens with that. It could be things get changed all around with these superhero movies coming out, the release dates and whatnot. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm not actually really sure. But this is what Games Radar are saying. They're saying Loki is playing second fiddle, which is like playing the sidekick on his own show. That's obviously seems to be the case now that he's no longer chasing another version of himself to take down. Now he's working with that version to take down an even greater threat, obviously, that they both want to attack and destroy, which is the Time Variance Authority and the Time Variance agents. I can see how some people would think that would kind of be weird. The back and forth banter with them is cool, but compared to Thor, it's nothing. It's not on the same level because obviously they're half brothers, so, and they grew up with each other, so it's different because they know each other. So the banter is obviously much more entertaining and different, you know. Or if you had a friend, but that's obviously not the case because Loki is a one-man show. So that's basically it. Yeah, this episode was cool. It was a little bit, I say, last week's episode was a little bit better because the mystery was happening, and Lady Loki, Sylvie, or Lady Loki was able to jump into different people's bodies in order to fight Loki, so that was very interesting. And obviously, they went through different timelines and different, big, huge apocalyptic catastrophes in order to see which one she was hiding in, and which was whether it was Pompeii in the 1600s in Italy, Rome, Italy, or it was when they were in 2050, and I forgot what town it was. I think it was, or city. I think it was Tennessee or Oklahoma. I forgot. But that's what happened. That's how he found her. So that's basically it, and we'll see what happens with that. On the show. Last week's episode I give it a 7. This week I give it a 5.5. Although it was not that great compared to last week's episode as far as the story goes. The visual effects were very good, and I liked them and enjoyed them. It's kind of teetering for me, but we'll see how it picks up. Last week's episode was better than this week's episode, and we'll see what happens, obviously. But the first two were great. Third was cool, but obviously this one's cool, but I would say obviously in comparison to the previous two, they were obviously much better. We'll see what happens when the fourth episode happens next week, so we can have a different comparison in regards to that. But that's all I have to say about this subject matter as far as Loki season 1 episode 3 goes. Apparently, was obviously already been renewed for a second season. So we'll see what happens with that, and what other different variations of Loki will be on the show, other characters from the past, and obviously people that are still around that can still be brought in to the show as well. It'll be very interesting to see that, but it's been very cool. It's like Blade Runner meets Thor meets I'd say probably Inception / kind of like Doctor Strange mixed in. So it's been very cool. We'll see what happens with that. Throughout this whole entire episode, Agent Mobius, Owen Wilson, and the rest of his people that were obviously in charge for the main characters were not around, except the one person that was in charge of the council of court, and the court that they had there, where they were giving their cases. Lady Loki told Sylvie told her she'll kill Loki, and she obviously said that's fine, you can go ahead and do it. Like, he was basically nothing to them. And obviously she didn't care about him. So because of this, Loki probably is under the impression now, obviously, that he knows that they're not only interested in helping me, and they need me, and they'll cut me loose the first chance they get. So that's basically what's going on with that. So we'll see what happens with the rest of the show, and that's basically it. Again, thank you for watching my video, and that's all I have to say about this subject matter, which is Loki's season 1 episode 3 review that just happened a couple days ago on Wednesday. A day ago on Wednesday, the 23rd of 2000. This the 23rd of June 2021. Thank you again for watching. That's all I have to say about this. Again, bye. Thank you.